Welcome, everyone, to this Tools of Awakening podcast. I'm Cyndi, and I'm here with my good friend, Rona Marren. Hi, Rona.
Hello, Cyndi. Hello, everyone.
And the purpose, the inspiration of this Tools for Awakening podcast series is to offer some teaching, some examples, and then almost a primer, a step-by-step. How do I use these basic tools to raise my vibration, to continually step into an experience that is more real, more peaceful, more expansive. Yeah, taking a breath. And so these teachings, they come from our experience of basically stepping into the unknown over the past X number of years, almost like hands up, life isn't quite right and I don't know why feeling, or an anxiety feeling, or help me bring things together kind of feeling that has led us both on a journey through teachings like A Course in Miracles and non-duality and a whole bunch of these great truth teachers that are really available to us almost everywhere we look. So Rona's sitting here shaking her head going, yes.
We're doing a podcast. Yes, I agree. It was a journey that came into my life that I was not expecting by any means, but at one point I said I need joy, and the next thing I knew was A Course in Miracles showed up, and some non-dual teachers and some real tools.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Both Rona and I are average, everyday kind of human beings having average, everyday kind of lives and interactions with parents and children and friends. We have been interacting with a world that is sort of chaotic, and we have discovered that these tools allow more and more peace to flow in us, that we have been discovering more and more often that we remain quiet and at peace in circumstances that may have otherwise created a lot of internal suffering of various points. So we're just kind of normal everyday people who are looking at tools that work. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had no idea how attached I've been to what I'm looking at. No idea.
So we're going to begin with honesty, which, I've been teaching for a number of years, in and out of, for quite a few years, actually. I've been writing to a fairly large group of people and have done interviews and taught and held space for groups. And I don't ever remember beginning with honesty. Somehow sitting and allowing and asking, it became real clear that that's where we're going to begin. Are you ready, Rona?
I'm ready.
So I'm going to read a couple lines. I'm going to begin with A Course in Miracles. And in the back, the Course in Miracles is comprised of 3 parts. There's the text, and then there's there's the workbook with 365 lessons, and then there's the manual for teachers. And in the back, under the manual for teachers, there is a section called "What are the characteristics of God's teachers?" And they're all great, actually, tools. And we'll be discussing a lot of them this year. Honesty, the definition of honesty based on A Course in Miracles. It means consistency. There is nothing you say that contradicts what you think or do. No thought opposes any other thought. No act belies your word, and no word lacks agreement with another. Such are the truly honest. At no level are they in conflict with themselves. Therefore, it is impossible for them to be in conflict with anyone or anything. In other words, what I say, what I think, what I feel, what I know to be true on every level of my being are in agreement. And that is what it means to be truly, radically honest. Rona?
That's a lot. That's a lot. Using a definition like that, I guess I'm aware of when I'm not in alignment now a lot more. I'm not walking around asleep anymore. But to have all those things consistently in alignment.
All right. So, and I am taking a breath and a pause. It's very interesting because I've been sharing what I'm about to share with quite a few people. It was sometime about a week ago that I was given the prompt to begin our podcast with this conversation on honesty. And so I've been having conversations with people in different communities. And I've been noticing the potential to disagree or to defend inside of me as well as with others, that it wasn't a free-flowing conversation. So I can tell you that based on my life experience and the ins and outs of the Cyndi who is becoming more aware, who is deciding that the peace of God or that stillness is how I am choosing to desire to live, that I'm not, like, there is a lot in this body, mind, personality conditioning. There's a lot in who I am in the world that is not consistently honest with what I'm currently accepting to be true based on the teachings of the Tao or non-duality, or A Course in Miracles. All of those teachings tell us that consciousness is all there is, right? That Cyndi and Rona and everybody were temporary manifestations in a sea of bliss, and we rise and fall, right? And the Buddha teaches us that that peaceful place comes when we can live in that space of knowing we're this temporary rising and falling, and do our things without attachments or repulsions. Yeah. So what I can say with true honesty is there are still these places within me that wishes for things to be different. How about you, Rona?
Oh, yes, I have them. I have them. And there are judgments too, and I'm coming to understand that the judgment part is just so out of alignment.
Yep. So will you join me right now, Rana, in this intention to become or to let go of whatever needs to be let go of, to live this more and more truly consistent, honest life?
Absolutely.
All right. So, and I have some conversations in my head from from this space. In this consciousness is all there is, and I know who I am. None of this means anything, right? There's a bit of level confusion. So I agree that none of this means anything in the long run. Even A Course in Miracles begins, nothing I see means anything. I've given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. So in the big picture,
right,
all is well. But in this day-to-day space, I am noticing that when I am out of alignment with knowing that all is well, there is an internal sense of suffering and contraction.
I agree. I can feel a conflict within me, a tightening. The energy is much different when those things are coming up to the surface for me. I believe I'm learning to become aware of that when physically something starts to happen, because that sometimes will even happen before the thought.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to bring us back to this space again, consistent honesty, by this definition that we're working with right now, is consistency. It literally is this space where everything that is thought and felt and done and seen are all in agreement. There's no inner and outer conflict. There's no inner conflict inside of me, and there's no conflict in me with the world I see. That's the working definition. That's the working definition of honesty for the purpose of this conversation. Is that
terrific?
Yeah. So what we do now with that, and if you're listening and you're confused, that's okay. If you're listening and you disagree, that's okay. If you want to ask any questions at all, I'd love to hear them. And we're pretty easy to connect with. So reach out, please. So here we're seeing that there's an inner contraction that's literally caused by this sense of not being consistent in thought, word, and deed. The question is, what do you do with it? You can choose to believe your thoughts if you'd like and hold tight. I am right and the world is wrong. And this is me, and I'm being honest with who I am. And you could stay there. And I invite you to, if that's what you want to do. If what you're believing is true, if you just had a fight with your spouse or your neighbor or the whole world, there's a lot of people I know that just want to go down the list of all the different reasons why I am in disagreement with the world I see. And you're right. And this is you being honest. Absolutely be there. If you'd like to know how being like that fits in this standpoint, go ahead and see how it makes you feel. you're holding on to what you know is right, which is different than the world you see in any which way or shape or form. Take time right now, take a couple breaths right now and feel into that conflict. Like, man, they done me wrong and that's my honesty and I know that's right. Or I'm not safe here. There's a disagreement between what I think, what I feel, what I say, what I do, but I know I'm right. This is the honest. Just go ahead. You can allow yourself to be there, but feel into that. Does it feel good? And that's how you could really tell this. And Rona's sitting here feeling emotional, I think, and she's shaking her head no. So Rona, is there anything you want to say so we could hear your gorgeous voice?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's not just the thoughts, there's a whole visceral feeling when I'm believing my thoughts or I'm believing I'm right. Or, as was uncovered earlier today, when I'm believing I'm bad, or not good enough, or some of those things that, get touched every once in a while as I waver through this. But, it is not the light vibration of joy for sure. And I can feel that difference viscerally.
And I imagine that if you're listening to us now and you're being honest with yourself, you can feel it too. Yeah. So if you would like, use the Course in Miracles terms, the peace of God, or if you would like to know yourself honestly in the stillness and the peace, more than how much you want your truth, more than you want to protect yourself from the world out there, more than you want to protect your way of being in the world, then we take the next step, right? And so, again, just to repeat things, this teaching on honesty, the definition of honesty is to be fully consistent in our thoughts, in what we say, and in what we do, inner and outer. To be consistently honest, one finds no internal conflict. One would be neutral, open, at peace with whatever. And this doesn't mean, by the way, that you don't look at a brother and say, I am going to step away from this circumstance, or this is the way it's going to work for me, right? This isn't really about our outer, what we do in the outer world in circumstances that appear to be conflicts. It's actually, you will discover as you sink into this work, it's the inner conflict that goes away. It gets real still inside when we're being honest in who we are and our relationship with the world. Yeah. So if you want that inner spacious stillness and allow this energy of honesty and consistency to flow through you and connect to the world in this way, then the steps, step one is you notice when you're not that. And it doesn't even matter what the mind is saying. You can notice you're not that by how you're feeling and the mind chatter that is projecting, I'm right, they're wrong, or I'm wrong, they're right, or this doesn't feel good, and that kind of anxious, nervous space or the anger, right? So the first step is to identify that is a place where there's something that's out of consistency, it's out of alignment. Right?
Yeah, if I can add, when I'm having a conversation in my head with somebody else that isn't present, that is a good indicator for me that I'm out of alignment at that moment and have carried something with me. And it is there.
So we feel it. Number two, we get to choose. We may choose 10,000 times a day. Is this what I want? You know, you're noticing how you're feeling, and you get to the point of choice. Do I want to be, and my favorite way of looking at this, do I want to be right? Or do I want to be true? Do I want to be right, or do I want to be at peace? And being at peace doesn't make you wrong, by the way. It just allows the energy that creates the conflict to be dissolved in you. So that's the second step. Step number one is to feel the out of alignment. Step two is to really choose consciously that what you want is honest. You want to be honesty, right? Step three, do nothing. Really, you know, awareness alone is curative. So anything you attempt to do while you're noticing the split actually will strengthen the split. Instead, and by doing nothing, it's really this matter of resting from whatever it is that created this disturbance in you, sort of expanding out from that and just being aware, just literally, like in this moment, is there a conflict in your world, Rona, right now, where how you want to be and where you are in the world and in relationship to others? You don't even have to go through the story, but do you see a current conflict?
Oh, I absolutely do. I absolutely do.
Yeah. So you're feeling right now, and right now I am too. So right now I live in the space where I understand if I am being fully honest with the truth of who I am, the pounding music in the apartment above me would not be creating a disturbance in me. I'm feeling a disturbance. So there's something out of alignment, right?
Yes.
So that's step number one. And your step number two, do you want to be right about the story you're in? Do you want to say, this is who I am, this is how I feel, this is what I know to be true? Do you want that? Or do you want the peace of God? Do you want to be happy? Do you want this promised kind of world where conflict is not part of your experience? Right? Or happy? Which would you like?
I choose happy. I choose joy. I choose peace.
I am tickled pink at this idea that my neighbor could play their music so loud that it completely vibrates every ounce of this apartment and my peace is not disturbed. So I too am choosing peace.
Yes. Yes.
So those are the first two steps. Step three is to sink into that and become aware of the energy that resists that. Can you do that now? So it's not about the story. It's not about the music that just got turned on again. It's not about, Rona, it's not about the relationships that are in your home and what appears to be worldly disturbance. It's about the inner energetic experience. And can you just for a minute at this point just sink into that and be aware of what that feels like without giving it a title. I'm watching just as Rona sinks into that, and I invite everyone who's listening right now, whatever the conflict is, whether it's a neighbor, a bank account, a job, even a physical health situation, any of that, can you, at this point, having felt the contraction of not being in alignment with what is in this moment and having chosen the peace of God, let's say, as opposed to the resolution of this worldly issue, and you now just rest a little bit from the story and just be at the edge, just be aware of the energetic sensations that fill you, that you have identified with the conflict.
Yeah, I think at this point it's so important for me is to take that moment to rest. I mean, that means stop what I'm doing, sit down. This work doesn't happen while I'm doing the dishes in the kitchen. I mean, I can access it, but there's that physical stillness. And then to let that mind chatter just slow down and know that I really want the peace more than anything else. And then there's that quiet right there.
So you're feeling it now.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to just add that this is definitely a technique, right? Which is what we're promising in tools. And can I tell you that this particular tool, if it's unfamiliar to you, you may even want to journal step 1, step 2, step 3 in the beginning, and then it can move from sitting and just being in the stillness and focusing on these steps. You will get to the point where you'll be able to do this in the middle of a conflict, in the middle of a, whether internal or external. You could do it while you're driving a car. You could do it inside, even while somebody is raising their voice at you. It can become a new habit. Yeah.
And that is what I am working towards.
So let's review. It's cool. It's shorter than what our podcasts were last year. Key is to give you a tool, again, that you could begin to practice and utilize right now to bring you into a greater state of ease, of the peace of God, of knowing the truth of who you are, whatever the verbiage is. Our topic today, honesty. The definition based on the teacher's manual and A Course in Miracles. Consistency. Term honesty actually means consistency. There is nothing you say that contradicts what you think or do. No thought opposes any other thought. No act belies your word, and no word lacks agreement with another. Such are the truly honest. At no level are they in conflict with themselves. Therefore, it is impossible for them to be in conflict with anyone or anything. That's our working definition. From there, if you, like me and Rona, yes, Rona?
Yes.
Are setting our intention to be truly honest, step 1, notice when we're not. We notice when we're not by how we feel. If there is a looping story with emotion involved, there is a place where honesty is not happening based upon this definition. If there's a physical sense of contraction of me and an other, then that is a clear indication that there is an area out of alignment that's not being consistent. If there is intense emotion flowing, it's an opportunity to do this work. So the first step is to notice when we're not fully, consistently honest. Yeah.
Yes.
Step 2, choose. Do I want this? Do I want this story that's running right now? Or do I want to be happy? Or do I want the peace of God? Or do I want to know the truth of who I am? Just make the choice.
It occurs to me, Cyndi, that it might be a new idea for somebody even listening to our podcast, that you have that choice. And I want to emphatically say we do have that choice.
Yes. And sometimes it doesn't feel like it, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Setting the intention to raise our vibration is enough. Being willing to do the work, even if we're not having that physical immediate response to it, is enough. Yeah.
Yes.
And then step 3, rest. Rest from the story. And literally, like Rona said, especially in the beginning of this work, and maybe for quite some time, it's very useful to walk away and sit, but don't let the mind tell you you don't have time for this, I'll do it later. You literally can do it to the best of your ability, no matter where you are, if that's your choice. So you rest from the so-called outer or even inner, I have a mind, I'll never get this right, the self-talk, or the outer worldly experience. You choose to rest from believing that is the cause, and you practice simply being aware of the way, the feeling, the emotion, the sensations. Just watch your character in action without attempting to shift it or change it. Let it burn itself out. I've often equated it to how an enlightened parent will treat a 2-year-old having a tantrum. Rona, how would you, as an enlightened being, treat a 2-year-old with a tantrum?
I'd just smile at them.
I would make sure my little one was safe.
Right.
And then I would basically not reward or punish, right? You simply withdraw your attention. You withdraw your energy from the circumstance and you wait it out. And that's what we're suggesting you do here. And you will notice, I have no problem stating that if you put this one tool into regular action, practice it, you will, I guarantee, notice more peace, more stillness, more expansion in your life.
Absolutely. And it's just such a benefit, having these podcasts and being in these world of like-minded individuals, and to have this reminder on my journey.
So that about covers it. Thank you so much for joining Rona and I on this episode 1 of our Tools for Awakening podcast. We are so excited to have you here. The awareness podcasts take place and are released every Friday. From wherever you're listening to us, you will see the entire library. Every one of them is a gem. So Love that you're here. Love that you're with us. Thank you so much. And until next time.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Cyndi.
Thank you, Rona.